Well, have any of you ever known a farmer who raised cows? Anybody out there? Who does that farmer take care of first, a sick kid or a sick cow? Yeah. Sick cow gets it first. That kid is going to have to recover on his own because that's the crop he's counting on for survival. He gets those cows to the vet right away. And is it because he loves that cow and he wants their spiritual level to move to a higher vibration? Trust me, that's not the case. So don't make quick assumptions. Somebody's been healed, therefore it must be an angel doing it. It could have been a really concerned farmer. All right. And we have another little problem or two when we start dealing with the positive aspects that most of us people have as we go through this phenomenon. For one thing, we get a lot of spiritual information delivered to us. Spiritual platitudes, spiritual instructions, metaphysical insights, ecological information, warnings of coming changes. And get ready, folks, they're coming. It's going to be here in 1991. It's going to happen. We've had aliens saying that in 1987, and people got ready. And you know what? 1991's gone. And then it was 1993. It's going to happen in August of 1993. You've got 3 different Pleiadians' words on it, and everybody gets ready and sells all their goods, and they're waiting. You know what? 1993 is gone. And they're still saying the same thing. Man, if they could only get their story straight one time, we could have a little credibility, but they just don't seem to get it straight. And so far, they haven't delivered on their predictions. And if you start basing your actions on getting ready for one of their predictions, can I please have first crack at buying you out at a cheap price? Because I plan to be here a little bit longer. Now, I'll tell you something. Not only do we get the spiritual and metaphysical and ecological information delivered to us, not only do we get the healings and the predictions and the coming changes, nobody's stopping to ask, now wait a minute, what did that have to do with the crossbreeding program? And the spiritual side's not saying, now wait a minute, what is it, where is it in the Bible that it says angels do rectal probes on children? See, somebody's not using their logic, and somebody's working real hard to keep us from being logical about this. And I'm going to talk about why this is the way we're responding. We have been programmed to such a degree that it is really and truly not funny. And I tell you, even though these things are going on and the reports are valid, that you're getting people who are telling you the honest truth about what's going on with them, we still don't have anything to really account for or legitimize or excuse or justify the physical and emotional procedures that are traumatic, illness-producing, personality-degenerating, and sometimes lethal in their after-effects on us fortunate chosen abductees. For instance, one of the most common sets of problems, and I could give you statistics, but who cares? I'll just tell you what the statistics tell us. That kidney problems, back problems, headache problems, nausea, unexplained rashes, hair loss, eye damage, and extremely bad gynecological problems are the common results in many cases of the abduction scenario. Sounds like that crossbreeding program's running into trouble. And to get that spiritual vibration up to the next density, you got to lose your uterus, sweetie. There's some problems we better start thinking about. I'm being funny, but I don't feel funny. I'm telling you now, you have to start thinking. You have to wake up. Somebody get that person back there. I see him asleep. And not only have there been illnesses following this and traumatic breakdowns, there have been illnesses no one to this day in the medical community has been able to explain. And I may call Ms. Bartlett up here to witness on some of these. We have some cancers, or alleged cancers, only 3 months after abductions on a particularly healthy man that could never be explained. The best medical specialist in the country said, this is so rare we haven't even seen a handful of cases in all the history of recorded medical science. And by the way, what's that blue stuff and those scooped out marks on his legs? And he's dead, by the way, when they're doing this autopsy. And this is 3 months after a wonderful abduction experience at his house. We have another case in South Arkansas where an entire family, a mom, a dad, their grown child, and her husband are abducted, where there's a big flat going on. There was sightings so numerous that the camera crews from the TV stations used to come out and shoot them because they were showing up on schedule. Had an abduction. for the entire family, and afterwards, in this area where many abductions were going on, one of the women who had been abducted began to have her breast rot off. Rot off. From no known explanation. No doctor could stop nor could identify, and I believe there were 20 surgeries at last count to try to repair the damage. And these are just a couple of examples of the fortunate after effects of us chosen experiencers. And there have been deaths. There have been deaths that have been predicted and threatened to abductees by the aliens as a means of coercion, and those deaths occurred. And they occurred exactly as the aliens said they would occur. And this can be verified in private for anyone who does not think this is true. The people who are involved in this will not let themselves be identified because they still have other people living who are under threat. Those are the cases nobody wants to hear about, and certainly nobody wants to talk about. And before you start believing everything your abductees are telling you, you might want to talk to the survivors of some of these cases. And other detrimental effects, that, such as Barbara talked about earlier today, include severe depression, very strong symptoms of post-traumatic stress, just like any rape or war victim experiences, attempted suicides, and successful ones as well among abductees, in fact among some fairly well-known ones in the last couple of years. In fact, one in Louisiana this summer, this spring, that was filmed by the TV crew in the town because the man was jumping off a bridge, claiming an extraordinary set of family circumstances. His wife was going to leave him. The aliens had been abducting these people for several years, and they weren't that upset about it until he's on the bridge to kill himself, and he does, on camera. And the thing is, there were no problems in his marriage. His wife had one baby and another on the way, and they were happy. And here he is claiming, my wife's going to leave me, my marriage is over, I'm jumping off the bridge, and he's gone. And that's just one of the suicides just this last year among abductees. Sexual dysfunction is highly common among abductees. Degenerative and self-destructive behavior, such as Barbara talked about with the drug abuse, the alcoholism, the promiscuity, the tendency toward violent and self-violent action. All right, I've got one more hour. I tell you, I'm going to wrap up real quickly to a break point, and then we're going to take a little break and everybody go to the bathroom, have a cigarette, and calm down, and then we'll come back and finish. So what I'm getting up to before I started my specific research report is that neither theory, the New Age or the crossbreeding, adequately explains the alien abduction agenda from the reports that we know are valid. And the abduction research field is in an uproar, and it's all alone in dealing with this situation. Now you might ask, what have our authorities and officials in government been doing about this? Well, to begin answering that question, I want you to remember that I want you to realize something. There has been a revolution that's taken place in our government. And here in the Cradle of Liberty, I feel like we need to call for another one. And I hope by the time we're through here, there will be a revolution of some sort in our action and in our lives and in our thinking about this. But there has been a revolution within our government. So that today, a very great part of the power structure that really deals with our situation globally is unknown to you and me. It's not people we vote for. It's not people we recognize on the street. But it's where the power structure stops at the top. And you'll never see it, and I'll never see it. And I'll say this openly, you could elect my dog president, it wouldn't change that power structure. All right?
Amen.
And we don't know it. We're the ones they're hiding it from. You know what they call us up there among the intelligence community's top levels? We're the sheeple. And that's their term for us. We are the sheeple. Now, this revolution in government activities, we may never know the true extent of these activities because the public is not being told. In fact, most of the evidence that keeps things, most of the effort to keep things covert is not aimed at our so-called political enemies. It's aimed at us, the sheeple. They don't. Our leaders don't want us to know what's going on. The Russians know. The Chinese know. We don't. That's how it is, folks. They let Russian satellites fly over the most secret bases and take pictures, but if you try to get out to Area 51, watch it. Now, who are they protecting? And even with our limited resources here in the individual private sector that has been trying to deal with this for all these years, we do know a little bit. We know that since 1947 at least, a power structure within the military intelligence inner sanctum has appropriated the UFO phenomenon, has made it its own sphere, and politics below that level has nothing to do with it. I don't think the president knows any more than you and I do, probably less, no matter who the president is at any given time. And this power structure has attempted to manage the relevant information for its own purposes. First, it wanted to control this information until it could manage it. But that never happened. That's how they said it. It never happened. We'll just control it until we understand it and have a handle on it. So tell the folks it never happened. But later, they found out they couldn't get the handle. They couldn't manage it. But here they were having it covered up and having lied and carried out illegal activities to keep it covered up. So what can you do then when you realize you can't get a handle on it? Well, if it can't be managed, you just simply continue to deny and debunk. And the attitude has been, we can't stop the UFO sightings. Okay, but we can ridicule and frighten the witnesses of these events into silence. All right? Nowadays, it seems, and I'm going to talk about specific examples of this, that power structure within that high level of military intelligence government activity has decided that they can only gather information, they can't control it. And where do you get the best information about what the aliens are doing? Where do you get it? You get it from satellites? You get it from phone surveillance? You get it from abductees. The first-hand accounts from the people who are facing it one-on-one, and now we have evidence, and I mean really hard evidence, that this power structure's agents are not only doing surveillance on abductees, they are also abducting abductees, interrogating abductees, using drugs and other mind control techniques upon abductees, trying to ask these questions. What do you know about the alien agenda? What are they doing with your family? What have they told you you will be doing? What have they done to put implants in you? What procedures are they carrying out on you? They are asking us questions in a desperate attempt to get the information from us. Now, they could come to my door and ask, can I ask you what's going on? And I would be happy to tell them. I feel very patriotic about this country. If there is a threat and our government is working on it, I will give them the information gladly. But do not take me or my husband in the middle of the night without asking, put us under control, use guns and coercions and threats to try to elicit information, and then use drugs to wipe out the memory of this as much as you can and expect me to cooperate? Sorry. I'll be a patriot, but you're not being the patriot when you do that to me. There is very strong evidence that the government is having to prepare the public in some way with a widespread dissemination of vague knowledge, somewhat legitimate knowledge. Let's mix in a lot of good disinformation with it so they won't get too scared too fast. Let's mix the good, the bad, the ugly, and the humorous in the media when we treat this subject so everybody can choose what they want to deal with and won't have to be forced to deal with more than they can handle. And maybe we ought to install some contingency plan for future confrontational scenarios. That's where it stands with our power structure right now. And folks, I'm dry. I need a smoke. I'll be back in 15 minutes and we'll talk about the specifics of this. Because he loves that town, he wants their spiritual level to move to a higher vibration. Trust me, that's not the case. So don't make quick assumptions. Somebody's been healed, therefore it must be an angel doing it. It could have been a really concerned farmer. 1993 is gone. And they're still saying the same thing. Man, if they could only get their story straight one time, we could have a little credibility, but they just don't seem to get it straight. And so far, they haven't delivered on their predictions. And if you start basing your actions on getting ready for what is warnings of coming changes, and get ready, folks, they're coming. It's going to be here in 1991. It's going to happen. We've had aliens saying that in 1987, and people got ready. And you know what? 1991's gone. And then it was 1993. It's going to happen in August of 1993. You've got 3 different Pleiadians words on it, and everybody gets ready and sells all their goods, and they're waiting. You know what? Well, have any of you ever known a farmer who raised cows? Anybody out there? Who does that farmer take care of first? A sick kid or a sick cow?
Yeah.
Sick cow gets it first. That kid is going to have to recover on his own because that's the crop he's counting on for survival. He gets those cows to the vet right away. And is it because, all right. And we have another little problem or two when we start dealing with the positive aspects that most of us people have as we go through this phenomenon. For one thing, we get a lot of spiritual information delivered to us. Spiritual platitudes, spiritual instructions, metaphysical insights, ecological information.